Hey everyone, John Henry here, Slingshot Futures Trading Group. Thanks for joining me in today's video. Before we start, take a second to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to click the notification bell icon so you don't miss our next live stream or next video launch here on YouTube every day. Make sure you start your day off the right way. Don't forget your free morning brief that's waiting for you at ssftg.com/brief. In the top left, you can click on morning brief to jump into that. That's where you'll find all of our major DP levels right up here at the top, as well as a quick technical overview for the major 6 markets that we look at. The NASDAQ, the S&P, you've got gold, crude oil, the euro, as well as Bitcoin. Maybe you're looking to get a full game plan for the day, week, or month. Check out the join button below. Level 1 subs get a brand new members only video every single morning going over the major 6 markets and a game plan for the day. In addition to that, once a week, I launch a weekly brief, and of course, once a month, we have our monthly brief as well. Of course, all members gain access to our private Discord chat server, and if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, check out the live analysis room for level 2 subs, where you can see my screens in real time during the New York Stock Exchange Open. You can ask questions and interact with the other members, as well as bounce ideas off myself and everyone else. It's a fantastic environment, and I would love to see you in there. All right, and now on to the really fun stuff, the topic for today. Trading computers on a budget. One of the biggest things that we can do to help ourselves and our startup cost is finding a good computer that's not going to necessarily wreck the bank, but at the same time, a separate trading computer so that we can keep all of our charts, all of that stuff separate from our home computer so that we don't have any video game installs or pictures or all of the other stuff on our trading computer. It's separate. And the benefit of that is fairly obvious. When you don't have any kind of weird installs or anything that crashes the computer, you don't lose your charting platforms, which is helpful. But along with that, having it on a separate machine, you can create sort of a workspace. It's a way to compartmentalize the things that you're doing in terms of trading or home life. And if you're trading from home, sometimes it can be really hard to differentiate between home life and work life, and that's one of the ways that it might actually help. So when we're talking about budget computers, there's a lot of different routes that we can go. First off, there's the pre-built route. If you're not comfortable building your own machine, then you can always buy one that's pre-made. The obvious downside to that is you don't really get to pick what's in it most of the time, unless you're spending a little bit more. You're going to have to creep up your budget a little bit on some of the pre-built ones that you can customize. The pre-built ones that you get from like Amazon, it's pretty much, you get what's in there. And a lot of them will work. If we look at a couple examples, like the one here, this one's very cheap, $449 for a desktop. It's a renewed desktop. So, is this a long-term solution? No. But will it work? Yeah, definitely. If we look at some of the parts that it has a Core i5. It's a little bit lacking, but again, we can't customize this. And for the price point, okay, so be it. I'd prefer an i7, but at least it's 3.3. Up to 3.7, just say 3.3. You don't really want to overclock budget computers. It's not really a good idea. Going into the RAM side of things, we've got 16 gigs of RAM. That's not bad. 16 is pretty good, and that should get you where you need to go as far as charting goes. The one consideration is that a lot of charting platforms are very RAM heavy. They devour it like it's candy. So maybe a sooner than later upgrade to 16 would be going to 32. You'd be surprised at the difference that would make. Going into the memory, it's a 250 gig SSD, and you can see they have it split 2 different ways. You have the 250 gig SSD, which is the operating system install, and that's where you would also install your charting platform and the important stuff that needs to be quick. And then for storage, you have your 1 terabyte hard drive. That's the old school, archaic, machine loaded, arms moving and whirring and all of that. That's that one right there. But you can see that even in these pre-builts, you can still find that. It's got Wi-Fi adapters. Obviously, not a good idea to use Wi-Fi when you're trading. If you have to, you have to. You don't have a choice. The Windows 10 Pro, that's a nice feature. And having an NVIDIA GT 730,
Okay, a GT 730, are you going to be able to play the new Far Cry? Probably not. But, I mean, let's be real here. This will work, and it will get the job done. A 4 gig card, and for the price point of $449, it's pretty hard to beat something like that, considering everything that you get with it, and some of the upgrades that you could do. I mean, it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. Here's another one at a little bit more of a step higher, and that step higher comes from the fact that you get the i7. That's the little bit of a bump there. You go up to 509. Still not bad. It's it's that Think Center. I think everybody on the planet's seen one of these or a dozen of these laying around somewhere. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it gets the job done. Same deal, right? We've got the quad-core i7, 3.4 gigahertz. That's perfect. 16 gigs of RAM. Would be preferred to be 32, but it works. 250 gig SSD. It doesn't say anything about an extra drive. That's a little bit of a bummer. Might be nice to have an additional drive just as an extra. They're pretty cheap anyway to have added on there. But then you have to go into doing a little bit of building, and if you're not comfortable with that, that route might not be the best option. You still get all of the Wi-Fi, and you get the keyboard and the mouse and all that fun stuff, and you get Windows 10 Pro. So you can see right around that 480 to 520 zone is kind of in that spot for the more of the budget side of things. But we do have a little bit of leeway if you don't mind building your own machines or maybe waiting a little bit longer for your machine to be built. There are a couple other ways that we can go to. So the first place to swing over to is Newegg, and Newegg has a really cool PC builder, and it's this wonderfully horrible address up there. I'll make sure to get a shortened link down below in the comments section, but they have a couple different options here. You've got the budget 1K, the sub 2Ks, and then the over 2K, so you can really kind of reach out a little bit further. And they've got some pre-builts, and then you can also build it with Intel or build it with AMD, so you've got some flexibility. So let's take a look at what happens. We'll build it with Intel and see what pops up. Okay, so we've got a pre-built, and on the pre-build, it preloaded everything for us. Well, that's kind of cool. So looking through what all comes up here, we get an Intel i5. Okay, well, at the price, here's my gripe with that. We have an i5 at a price point of $970. That's kind of a bummer. I feel like an i7 would be a little bit of a better upgrade. It is a 6-core, so you do get that nice little bump there, but I feel like it could do a little bit better there. The B460M Pro LGA 1200 is a decent board that will definitely cover everything you need. And it comes with some G.Skill Ripjaws. I'm a big fan of Ripjaws. I've never had any problems with them. It's 2 8-gig sticks, so you get 16 gigs. Would be nice to see that doubled up and maybe go for 32, depending on how many slots it has. It should have enough. It has a Sapphire Radeon RX 5600. Okay, I mean that's all right. There's some adjustability here that we could work with, but it works. It gets the job done. Generally, if I'm using an Intel core, I prefer using NVIDIA. They tend to work better, at least in my experience from what I've had to deal with. They seem to get along better for me, so I try to stick with it. The fractal design, just the case, you can get whatever case you want. As far as the power supply that's preloaded in there, good and cheap, $45. I like it. There's a big bummer though. That's a 500 watt power supply. That's a bit of a bummer. 500 watts, usually if I'm going to be looking at building anything, especially if I'm going to be in the $1,000 range, yeah, I would want to be seeing at least 800 to 1,000 watts. I feel like that should be attainable. Going beyond that, we have a nice Samsung 860 EVO, which is a 2.5-inch SSD right there. It's a 500 gig SSD, and you can see they're pretty cheap, $60. You can get a couple of them if you needed a few extra things of storage. But it only comes with one, so you only have the one storage drive. Again, might not be bad to maybe tack on an extra one there. Gives you the CPU air cooler, which is kind of nice, and it comes with Windows 10 Home. Okay, that's all right, I guess. It's not bad, but for $1,000, realistically, I feel like we could do a little bit better. So let's see if we can find some better solutions here. So on our quest to find a little bit better for a little bit less, we stumble upon iBuyPower.com. Right on the main page, we've got the starter gaming PC at $649. That catches my eye. Let's see what that's all about. Out of the gate, $649. We've got an AMD Ryzen 3 3100 CPU. Okay, it'd be preferable to see a Ryzen R5. Looks like we can customize it, so maybe we can take a look. 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, maybe we can bump that up a little bit. So let's see what we can do here. Let's customize this and go in a little bit further. There we go. So now we've got some wiggle room that we can play around with. So 700 watt power supply. Yes, they finally figured it out. We need a bit more juice. GT 1030s. Okay, let's see what we can swap this off to. We are going to have to pay a little bit when you're jumping here, but going to an RTX 3070 on the GeForce side, it's going to add an extra 1,000, right? So you're not talking cheap when you're talking upgrades to the video cards, and that's why you see them coming with what they do. But as far as it is, with a $649 computer, it's not bad. There definitely could be some upgrades like the RAM without having to break the bank. That's only an extra 97, so we can get that up to 16. The GeForce GT 1030, fine. we'll have to stick with that because I don't want to add $1,000. Budget is what we're going for here. As far as the primary hard drive, we can look through. There we go. So here, now we have a 500 gig Western Digital Blue, and that's an NVMe SSD. These are nice, and we're only paying $31 more for it. I am definitely okay with that. Now, it would be nice to have an additional hard drive. It doesn't look like I can do that, or if I can, it's probably somewhere else under like the added features. But here we can see in terms of price point, now we're at $777. Okay. And you're getting a really good, solid build. It's a Ryzen 3. Let's see what we can bump this up to. It's only $77 more to go up to a Ryzen 5. Now we're at $854. So if we're looking at the same price point as the other computer that we were just looking at on Newegg, now we're at a subtotal of $932 with a Ryzen 7. And with a Ryzen 7, now we've got the GeForce GT 1030. We've got 16 gigs of RAM. We could even go a little bit more, and I think we would still... no, we can't quite go up to the 32 gigs, but we can stay at 16 and still fit inside relatively well, and we're right in that $1,000 budget range. So you can see there's a little bit of adjusting that you can do to make it worthwhile, and just sticking with the pre-builts that auto-load up, you might not necessarily want to stick with those right out of the gates. Now, the other thing that we saw is the Easy Builder, and we can go through that and see what this is. Now, when I'm looking at this is something you're going to see a lot on more of the gaming websites. When I'm looking at a trading computer, obviously we're not going to be playing games on it, but if I'm looking for a higher end, typically shooters, FPS games, those are going to be the ones that require a decent amount of juice. So if I'm going to be looking at building a computer out for shooting games, pick anything that has a gun in it, right? You're probably off to a good start, basically not WoW or League of Legends. And we can go with the desktop, and we've got a choice, Intel, AMD. We've been looking at Intel a lot. Let's look at AMD. 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. So we've got a couple different options there. And here, right at $989, Windows 10 Home, Ryzen 5. We've got a few different things, but I gotta say, honestly, the other one that we built, I kind of dig that one a little bit more. This isn't too bad. There's definitely some things that I would modify, though. Windows 10 Home going to Pro, the AMD, the other one we were at the i7. So it's not bad, but it could, it could use a little bit of customizing. Again, going with the base ones, usually not the best route. So let's go into customize here and see what kind of different things they give us. First off, let's bump this up to the Ryzen 9. We're not staying in budget anymore. We start pushing up there. Ryzen 7's only 79 more, so we can try that one out. As far as the 16 gigs, that's good. We know if we try changing this, it's going to cost like $1 bajillion. So we're not going to be able to change that a whole lot. We'll have to stick with the 1030s. The B550 plus ARGB header. The Asus Tough Gaming B55, the 550 is okay. We can stick with that. It could use maybe a few more RAM slots, but we're not using a ton right now. The wattage, it's only $10 more to go up to 800 watt. Sure. And then it already has the NVMe hard drive. So a little over 1,000 here at 1,078, and you've built out a pretty solid machine. And this is something that, this isn't just bottom of the barrel Amazon bargain bin stuff that's going to last for a year or two. This is something that should reliably last for a good amount of time. The only thing that you're probably going to run into an issue with, at least at the time we're recording this, is graphic cards. With the increase in prices of cryptocurrencies, graphic cards, just like the last time, are going out of stock everywhere and they cost a fortune. So these are going to be the only setback that you're going to run into right now. Maybe you can find some on Facebook Marketplace for cheap from your neighbor down the street. I don't know. But trying to get them online is not going to be an easy deal at the moment. So those are different trading computer options when you're talking about trading on a budget. And there's a lot of different budget types, from sub 500 up to just a little over 1,000. And with some customizing and tweaking, we definitely made it work. But that's going to do it. I hope you found it useful, interesting, entertaining. And if you're looking to build out your next machine, you're probably going to have a better benefit. But like I said, at the time of recording this, at least, the GPUs, that's going to be a bit of a problem. You're going to have to pay quite a bit for those graphic cards until crypto balances out, or they start mass producing more GPUs, because those things are going out of stock everywhere. But that's going to do it for this one. As per the usual, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. Leave any comments or anything underneath below if I missed something, or you think something else deserves a spot on the budget computer list, or maybe a website that I missed that has a really cool builder. I always love looking at those. Feel free to drop those down below and I'll take a look. Until then, stay safe out there, keep those stops in play, and let the winners run. Till the next time, talk to y'all then. Thanks.